Hello students, welcome to my channel Learning History Made Easy. In today's video, I will be starting a new series of important questions chapter wise. It will be helpful for your examination preparations. Before going into the video, if anyone is seeing the channel for the first time or if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and share it with your friends. And also click the bell button to receive notifications whenever I upload new videos. So today's video will be about the important questions from chapter 1. So without wasting time, let us get into the video. First, I'll be explaining 1 mark questions, then 2 marks, and later we'll go towards the 5 mark and 10 mark question, which I'll be explaining in detail. First question, from which language is the word India derived? Greek language. Name any two passes that connect India with the West. Khyber and Bolan Pass. Mention any two names of India. Bharatavarsha, Hindustan, Jambudvipa, Bharata. From this, any two names you can write. Mention any two physical features of India. Himalayas, the northern plains, desert, coastal region, mountains. Any two of these you can write as the answer. Mention any two World Heritage Sites of India. Taj Mahal, Mahabalipuram, Ajanta Ellora. Name any two universities of ancient India. Nalanda, Kashi, Takshashila. Name the work that mentions the extent of Karnataka. Kaviraja Marga of Srivijaya. What is numismatics? The study of coins. What is excavation? Scientific digging of earth to unearth the sources. Write any two physical features of Karnataka. Coastal region, Western Ghats, Malnad region. What is the difference between prehistoric and historic age? The period when written records are not available is prehistoric period, and the period when we get written records is known as historic period. What are archaeological sources? They are the remains of past human life and activities. Mention the two kinds of literary sources. Indigenous literature and foreign accounts. These are the 2 mark questions. Now we will move on to the 5 mark and 10 mark questions. 5 mark and 10 mark question I will just explain to you in detail. The first question which we are going to discuss in 5 mark question, that is, explain briefly the impact of geography on Indian history. So the question is impact of geography on Indian history. Indian history. So this will come as a 5 mark question. So if such a question comes, let us see how we are going to answer. So first we will write an introduction for the answer. For the introduction, we can write that the physical features of India such as Himalayas, northern plains, deserts, etc. have helped development of different political units and cultures. So we can write about the physical features of India. Features of India. We can just write which are the important physical features of India, like Himalayas and the deserts, the northern plains, etc. And how these have helped. They have helped in the development of different political units and cultures. So like that we can write an introduction. Then we will directly move on to the first point in the answer, that is, we will write about the Himalayas, that is, how Himalayas have impacted Indian history. So the first point we can write is Himalayas separate India from rest of Asia. The first point, it separates India from the rest of Asia. Then it forms a natural barrier. It forms a natural barrier and protect India from invaders and cold winds. And this natural barrier protect India from invaders and the cold wind coming from the north. Okay. Then it gave birth to many rivers. Himalayas have given birth to many rivers. That is another impact. It gave birth to many rivers, and these rivers formed the most fertile plains where civilizations developed. So rivers formed fertile plains, and on these fertile plains what happened, that is civilizations developed. So that also was an impact of the Himalayas. Another important thing, that is there are two main passes such as the Khyber Pass and the Bolan Pass. Bolan Pass, they have helped India to have commercial and cultural relation with the West. So this much points you can add regarding the Himalayas. The next point which we are going to write is about the deserts and forests. Deserts and forests. So regarding deserts and forests, the first thing is they have made people hardworking and warlike. The deserts and forests have made the people hardworking and warlike. And one more thing, that is the oceans. If you consider the physical feature of oceans, oceans have served a means of connecting the rest of the world. They have served as a means of connecting to the rest of the world, and they helped in development of commercial and cultural relations. Commercial and cultural relations. Ocean have helped in the development of commercial and cultural relations. Regarding deserts and forests, they made the people hardworking and warlike. Regarding oceans, they helped in connecting the people and development of commercial and cultural relations. Now the next physical feature, if you see rivers, they have made the country agrarian. The rivers have provided water and made the country agrarian. They also influenced the rise and fall of many dynasties, and they provided varieties of minerals and rocks. A lot of varieties of minerals and rocks were provided by the rivers, and there are many rocks and stones like sandstone, and if you see marbles, granites, etc., have helped in the development of architecture. These rocks and stones have helped in the development of architecture, and rivers also helped in the development of rich flora and fauna. Okay, flora and fauna. So like this, all the physical features have helped or impacted the Indian history. This is how you complete that 5-mark question. So we will just go through the answer once more. I have explained the points very fast. If you want a detailed explanation, you can go to the chapter-wise videos which is there in the PUC chapter playlist. Link I will be giving in the description box. Explain briefly the impact of geography on Indian history. Impact of geography on Indian history, the physical features of India such as the Himalayas, the northern plains, the deserts, the mountains, etc. have helped the development of different political units and cultures. Himalayas, it separates India from the rest of Asia. It forms a natural barrier and protects India from invaders and cold winds from the north. They have given birth to many rivers. These rivers form the most fertile plains which were cradles of civilization. The two main passes such as Khyber and Bolan have helped India to have commercial and cultural relations with the West. Deserts and forests, they have made the people hardworking and warlike. The ocean served as means of connecting the rest of the world. They have helped to develop commercial and cultural relations. Rivers, they have made the country agrarian and also influenced the rise and fall of many dynasties. Rivers provided varieties of minerals and rocks. The rocks and stones like sandstone, marble, granite, etc. have helped in the development of architecture. It also helped in the growth of rich flora and fauna. And as a conclusion, this is how geography impacts Indian history. Now the next important 5-mark question which we are going to discuss, that is, unity in diversity is a unique feature of Indian history. Explain. Unity in diversity is a unique feature of Indian history. Explain. So in this answer, first we are going to just write a 1-sentence explanation, that is unity in first as 1-line explanation we are going to write that India is a land of diversity. Okay, this answer has 2 parts. In the first part we'll write about the diversities, and the second part we will write about the unifying factors. So first we will write about physical diversity. Okay, physical diversity. India has the coldest places. If you see the physical features, India has the coldest places, India has the hottest desert, then it has snowy mountains, evergreen forest, coastal areas, etc. And in this way, India is a land of physical diversity. The second diversity which we are discussing is racial and linguistic diversity. Racial and linguistic diversity. In racial and linguistic diversity, in India we have people belonging to different races. Okay, there are races like Dravidian races, Mongoloid races, Mongoloids, etc. So there are people belonging to different races in India. Regarding linguistic diversity, in India there are more than 1600 languages and dialects. Okay, languages and dialects are there in India, and hence we have a lot of linguistic diversity. The third point which we are going to discuss is about social and religious diversity. Social and religious diversity. So regarding social and religious diversity, India is regarded as a land of diverse religion. In India we have diverse religion, different caste, then different faith, and different social systems, etc. So India is a land of diversity. And in India we have also a variety of food cultures, dress habits. In all these ways also in India we have diversities. Regarding families, we have patriarchal and matriarchal families. Patriarchal family and matriarchal families are existing in India. That is, patriarchal family where father is the head, and matriarchal is mother is the head of the family. Regarding marriages, we have different systems like monogamy, polygamy, etc. Different types of marriages exist in India. Okay, and regarding a religion, we have different religions like Hinduism, Jainism, Islam religion, Christianity, etc. Different religions also exist in India. So in such a way, India has a lot of social and religious diversities. So as a heading, you write social and religious diversities, and these points you can explain as the inside explanation. Okay, so like this you have to explain the main point. I am just going through the points very fast. If you want a detailed explanation, as I have said before, you can go to the chapter wise videos through the link which I give in the description box. So social and religious diversity over. Next is economic diversity. Economic diversity. In economic diversity, India has a lot of economic inequality. India is a land of economic inequality. That is, we have different classes of people. That is, we have rich people, poor people, middle class people. Like that, we have upper middle class, lower middle class. We have so many differentiation regarding the economic factor. That is, we have different classes of people in India. And some places in India are highly developed, and some places are underdeveloped places also. There are developed places as well as underdeveloped places in India. So all these we can consider as economic diversity. Now next we are going to see the next factor in the same answer, that is unity. In spite of all these diversities, there are many unifying forces. That is, the first thing is India has geographical unity. Himalayas in the north and oceans in the south have isolated India from rest of the world, and it has formed a separate geographical unit. Separate geographical unit. India has formed a separate geographical unit because Himalayas in the north and oceans in the south have isolated India from rest of the world. Next is administrative unity. Administrative unity. Regarding administrative unity, India has a uniform administrative system. India as a land has a uniform administrative system, and it has its base, if we see, from Arthashastra of Kautilya. Arthashastra of Kautilya or Chanakya, it has its base. And many old dynasties of India have tried to bring political unity. Next unity, we can see uniform education and literature. Education and literature. Ancient India has uniform education and literature, and during those times Sanskrit language and Vedic literature, including epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata, these have brought a feeling of a oneness. Okay, these have brought a feeling of oneness. And later, when the British rule came, English became the common language. After the British came, English became the common language or lingua franca, and this lingua franca is a shared language of communication used by the people to people who speak different languages. So why English became common language, or it is called as lingua franca. Lingua franca. That means it is a shared language of communication. Shared language of communication. And this is used by people who speak different languages. That is, people who speak different languages need a common language for communication. So that is how English became this common language or lingua franca, so that all the people who speak different languages communicate with each other through English. So that is how India had uniform education and literature. Now regarding religious and social ceremonies, India have, we said that different religions, diversity in religions, but they lead a life of harmony. If you see their social life, they lead a life of harmony. That is, they participate in religious and social ceremonies of each other. Indians participate in the ceremonies of each other, religious and social ceremonies of each other. Okay, and they also interdine with each other. Even though so many diversities are there, they interdine with each other, and all these increase the feeling of unity among the people. So the feeling of unity increased because of all these. And finally, we can just write about a few recent changes which brought unity among the people. Recent changes, that is, our constitution, government policies, all these have reduced the difference among religion, caste, etc. The main thing, our constitution, then government policies, etc. have reduced the differences between religion, caste, creed, etc. Then people also started to share all their habits, share their habits, that is food habits, customs, everything they started sharing with each other, and all these factors increase the unity among the people. It increased the unity among the people in spite of all the diversities. And this is why we say that India is a land of unity in diversity. So when such a question comes, we have to always understand, if the question comes about unity in diversity is a unique feature of Indian history, first the main thing is we have to write about first the diversities. Okay, in diversities we have to write about physical diversity, then we write about racial and linguistic diversity, point we write and then explain. Then we write about social and religious diversities. Then we write about economic diversities, and we explain all these points. Regarding unity, we first start with geographical unity, then we write about administrative unity, then uniform education and literature, and then we write about religious and social ceremonies, and last, recent changes. So like this we write about both the points and write a conclusion, then that will become a perfect answer. So now just let us go through the answer once more. I will just read through the points. Question will be, unity in diversity is a unique feature of Indian history. Explain. India is a land of diversity, physical diversity. India has the coldest places, the hottest desert, snowy mountains of Himalayas, evergreen forest, coastal areas, etc. Racial and linguistic diversity. India has people belonging to different races like Dravidian, Negroids, Mongoloids, etc. Linguistic diversity also is a unique feature of India. There are more than 1,600 languages and dialects in India. Social and religious diversity. India is regarded as a land of diverse religion, caste, faith, language, social system, etc. India also has a variety of food and dress habits. It has both patriarchal and matriarchal family system. Monogamy, polygamy and polyandry were practiced. India also is a land of different religions like Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, etc. Economic diversity. India is a land of economic inequality. The resources are distributed unevenly. We find different classes of people in India like rich, poor, middle class, etc. Some places are highly developed while some are underdeveloped. In spite of all these diversities, there are many unifying forces which have kept India united. Geographical unity. Himalayas in the north and oceans in the south have isolated India from rest of the world and formed a separate geographical unit. Administrative unity. India has a uniform system of administration. It has its base from the Arthashastra of Chanakya. Many old dynasties of India like Maurya, Gupta, Mughals, Marathas, etc. have tried to bring political unity. Uniform education and literature. Ancient India had uniform education and literature. Sanskrit language and Vedic literature, including epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc., have brought a feeling of oneness. Later, during the British rule, English became the common language, lingua franca. Lingua franca is a shared language of communication used by people who speak different languages. Religious and social ceremonies. India have diversity in different areas, but they lead a life of harmony. They participate in the religious and social ceremonies of each other and also interdine. This increases a feeling of unity. Recent changes. Our constitution, government policies, economic and social conditions, globalization, etc. have reduced the differences among religion, caste, places, etc. People share their food habits, customs, traditions, etc. with each other. All these factors increase unity among Indians in spite of diversities. So this is the answer for the question unity in diversity. The last important question in this chapter which we are going to discuss is, write a note on importance of archaeological sources in reconstructing the history of India. So for this answer, the first point we have to write is an explanation about what are archaeological sources. Archaeological sources are the remains of past human life and activities. They are the remains of past human life and activities. It includes human relics, artifacts, etc. Relics, artifacts, etc. are included in this. Stone tools, man-made objects, etc. And they are the only source when we don't have written records. And some important archaeological sources, some examples you can write, that is coins, seals, jewelry, tools, etc. are some of the important archaeological sources, and they give information to reconstruct history. So that is how the first point you have to explain. Then the next side heading you can write about excavation. What is excavation? Excavation is a scientific scientific digging of earth for unearthing sources. For unearthing sources. So excavation is a scientific digging of earth for unearthing sources, and prehistory was written mainly based on this excavation only. When there was no written records, history was reconstructed based on this excavation. So first we wrote about archaeological sources, the next we wrote about what is excavation. In the next point, we are going to write about monuments. So what are monuments? Monuments are structures or places of historical importance. They are structures or places which have historical importance. Structures or places of historical importance are called as monuments. And some examples of monuments, you can write about forts, palaces, temples, etc. Are some of the examples of monuments, that is Ajanta Ellora caves, Hampi, statue of Gomateshwara, etc. have helped to understand the cultural heritage of India. Next, we will go to the next point, that is coins. Study of coins is called as numismatics. So what is numismatics? Numismatics is the study of coins, and coins help us to understand the age, then from which dynasty the coins were made, the economic condition, that is considering which material the coin was made, we can understand the economic condition, etc. And they also give information regarding metallurgy and trade. They give information regarding trade also. So that is the importance of coins, that is an archaeological source. It helps how to reconstruct the history. Next is about paintings. Paintings give us a picture of the cultural, social and religious aspect. Cultural aspect, social aspect, religious aspect, all these aspects we understand from the paintings available. Paintings of Ajanta depict the pictures of royal class, dance, dress, etc. and it helps know about the historical events. Next is inscriptions. The study of inscriptions is known as epigraphy. Epigraphy is the study of inscriptions, and inscriptions are the most valuable and reliable as a direct source in writing history. They are generally contemporary. Inscriptions are generally contemporary. They are written during the that current time, and they are engraved on, inscriptions are basically engraved on stones, rocks, walls, etc. We can find inscriptions on stones, rocks, walls, pillars, etc. In India, if you see, more than 75,000 inscriptions have been found in India. More than 75,000 inscriptions have been found in India. Some examples you can write, that is Aihole inscription, Halmedi inscription, etc. So in all these ways, archaeological sources help in reconstructing the history of India. So when a question comes about archaeological sources, that is how it helps in reconstructing history of India, first you write an introduction, that is you have to write what are archaeological sources. After giving that explanation, then you have to write about excavation. Okay, what is excavation? Then you have to write about monuments. What are monuments? Some examples of monuments you can write. Then you have to write about coins, the study of coins. Then next topic is paintings. And the last you have to write about inscriptions. And a detailed explanation of all these will make the answer perfect. So I will just go through the, we'll just go through the answer once more. That is, write a note on the importance of archaeological sources in reconstructing the history of India. Archaeological sources, they are the remains of past human life and activities. It includes the human relics and artifacts, example stone, tools, man-made objects, etc. They are the only source when we don't have written records. Important archaeological sources include coin, seals, jewelry, tools, remains of buildings, paintings, etc. They give us information to construct the history. Excavation, it is scientific digging of earth for unearthing sources. Prehistory was written with the help of excavation only. Monuments, they are structures or places of historical importance. Some examples of monuments are forts, palaces, temples, etc. Ajanta Ellora Cave, Temple of Konark, Belur, Hampi, Statue of Gomateshwara, etc. help us to understand the cultural heritage of India. Coins, study of coins is known as numismatics. They help us to understand the age, dynasty, economic condition, religion, language, etc. They also give information regarding metallurgy, trade relations, etc. Paintings. It gives us a picture of cultural, social and religious aspects. Paintings of Ajanta depict the pictures of royal class, dance, dress, etc. Inscriptions. They are the most valuable, reliable and direct source in writing history. They are generally contemporary and they are engraved on stones, rocks, walls, seals and iron pillars. More than 75,000 inscriptions have been found in India. The study of inscriptions is called epigraphy. Aihole inscription of Revikirti and Halmidi inscription have importance in the history of Karnataka. So I hope you have understood all these question answer very clearly. Please go through the questions again and again so that you will become thorough with the answers. All the link for the detailed explanation videos are given in the description box. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comment section, or if you are not finding any videos, you can ask. I will be sending the link for those videos. And also, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Your likes and shares will be of a great encouragement for me to make more and more videos. So I hope to see you soon in the coming video. Thank you for watching.